Hey, thank you all. I fucking love doing this. Any opportunity I get is really exciting. I never went to uni either, so when I come to uni, it's like a little exciting day out for me. So I appreciate it all very much. Thank you. I get letters from the bank threatening legal action. The last time my statements were black, so was Michael Jackson. Easier in there. I didn't realise until I got here just how much black shit I was wearing. I'm actually, you know, pretty easygoing guy. Don't think that it's miserable and emo. Anyway, I'm going to start on a kind of worked up, angry sort of tip, because I don't have much like that, and then I'll go at the end and then reassure you that I'm actually happy. This one's about youth. It's about some of the shit that youth kind of have accused of them, and some of the hypocrisy of the messages that we send. Anyway, I'll cut to the chase. It's called They Don't Do As They're Told. See, why don't they do as they're told? I mean, right from day one, the young are told by the old, be honest, work hard, and you'll be duly rewarded. That's why nurses ride buses and estate agents drive Porsches. And learn to share. Be grateful for what you got. It's not nice to be greedy and to grab. Now run along and watch 10 minutes of TV, right around 30 minutes of ads. And you'll be so glad all the shiny new things I try to sell you. Things you didn't even know you needed before someone was kind enough to come along and tell you. And don't ever let me catch you drawing on the walls. But you can be sure you're going to pay. Because writing your name up in spray is a very serious crime. But that 20-foot billboard next to the screaming, buy another car, that one is fine. So you have to bear in mind they paid a lot to get that spot in your line of sight and in your consciousness that when you can expect to collect that check, I'm afraid I can't make any promises. Now young girls, when you go to school, be sure to follow all the rules without fail. That means no makeup and no painted nails, and don't wear your skirts too short. Try to keep your thoughts on your books. That's what's going to serve you in life, not your looks or being popular or cool. And then when you're home from school, you can read any one of your favourite magazines marketed at teens all about women, goddesses and queens, women with necklines as low as their self-esteem, and self-esteem as low as their IQ, whose sole purpose seems to be to provide you with a message that if you don't wear your ribs on the outside, you're overweight. And even if you can't starve yourself into shape, there's plenty of surgical options you can take. Now guys, I'm talking to you too. I know right now you think getting respect from your crew is all about trainers and phones and the right brands on your clothes, but as any wise-eyed adult knows, it will take any fucking chance to remind you, appearances don't count, what matters is what's inside you. But oh, this isn't good. I see you sometimes like to wear a top that includes a hood. And please, tell me these rumours aren't true. You like to hang around with other kids the same age as you, outdoors, in public. You know what this means? Once you hit about 14, people start judging you and begrudging you based not on knowing you, based on what they've seen between the page of the sun and the mail. You might find that the elderly and frail become paranoid and tend to avoid you walking through areas that are poorly lit. And you might suddenly find the in-store security guards, doctor, swarm around you like flies around shit. You might be thinking, this is outrageous. Has ever committed a crime or been in the papers? This kind of treatment seems a little rough. You see someone who looks like you has some. And to most people that's good enough. So I'll be a little less concerned about downloading that ringtone. I'm a bit more worried about that inconvenient skin tone. Because there's just no easy way to say this, but you are not Caucasian. And that means you can look forward to up to 5 times more chance of incarceration. Up to 29 times more stop and search without explanation. But don't let that make you feel a bit of resentful inside, because like you always told you, right, you've got nothing to fear, you've got nothing to hide. And that crew of yours, in which you take such pride, with the postcodes and the pit bulls and the puff and the patois and the feeling you belong, that's just plain wrong with that other crew. With the cars, and the money, and the helicopters, and horses, and guns, and dogs, and tasers, and mates, and the DNA database, and cameras in every corner of your community, you can kill with impunity, that's plain right. And when you got into that fight, what that guy said about your mum, that was dumb. And you should have known better than to go pursuing such petty vendettas, but when a man gets cut down by 8 rounds, who wearing a big jacket running on the underground, or in a pre-dawn raid, smashes down your door, puts one on your shoulder, scares the fuck out your family, and pins you to the floor for nothing more than a mistaken address, or when a 47-year-old fighter with 9 gets pushed to his death for walking home from work on the same day as a protest, well, that's called keeping the peace. And nobody ever gets busted, so why can't people see the police should always be trusted? And I wonder when those Londoners went burning and looting and helping themselves to what they please, if they learned that from listening to rap or from their history GCSEs, from back when half the world map was coloured in pink. Maybe they were taught that way to think by watching their government send its armed forces to lay down their lives liberating those poor, defenceless natural resources. And please, let's not succumb to amnesia and forget that pre-Mugabe Zimbabwe was known as Rhodesian, and after the man who pulled the greatest diamond heist of all time, he didn't use a sledgehammer and moped to just use slaves to go out mines, but they didn't give him a fine, put a tag on his ankle, give him an asthma, they didn't send him to the gallows or even the cells, they just gave him a knighthood, a university and a country as well. But don't worry, because that ugly business of slavery is long gone, just don't ask where your laptop, your phone, your iPod came from. Alright, folks, come on. Back to the produced it, finds it conducive to business to have anti-suicide nets around the outside of the building. There's a lesson here, children, haven't you learned yours yet? Take what the fuck you want, just not from your own doorstep. So don't pout and protest and grumble and bitch. Shouldn't you be at work anyway, pissed with a day for minimum pay, making someone else rich, and who knows if you keep it up till you're about 300, maybe one day you'll even get a pension. Just be a good sport and promise not to mention the big in-joke that since the beginning of time all us adults have known that kids don't learn from what they're told, they learn from what they're shown. Thank you. Immigration takes our jobs. This is established wisdom. That's a cry you often hear, but I never have fear, because that shit could never affect me. I've been working in bars for near 10 years, and there's no way they could eject me. The only way I'm leaving is if I get caught smoking trees or if I'm quitting. Because ain't nobody's job safer in the world than an alcohol dealer in Britain. Shit pandemic, man. Right, this one's called Internal Flight. It's about when you want to be somewhere, like a physical location, and you can't, so you try and do the shit that helps you to go there inside. In my case, it's Cape Town. I've got a bit of a thing going with that, and hopefully this year I can make it there for the first time in like 4 years. That's what that one's about. See, at the end of Africa, between the mountains and the beach, there's a certain sacred place that's managed to reach a part of me so deep I wasn't aware it was there. Something invisible, something unspoken, something I suspect won't rest and how it's been awoken, and such as this fire has been stoken, even when the flames are out, the embers still be smoking, still evoking. Memories of a place that's internationally unmistakably African. I took a piece of inside of me like I was dope trafficking. And I've since been back again, I miss him, Ronso and Zulu and Suto, I miss the warmth of the sun and the people I missed at Ubuntu, because when you're all alone and far from home, those little acts of kindness feel a little more sweet. So many welcoming people I was privileged to meet. And I miss the Rastas because they always showed me love in the street. And I since I've been back, I just don't quite feel complete. And I can't quite explain, it's one numbness and pain. I remember the feelings so stretched and so strained as I boarded the plane, because part of me was coming back, but part of me remained. And I was praying to be back again one day, and as we rolled down the runway and let go of the sunset, I felt this trip is over, but the journey isn't done yet. So now I'm back in Brighton, and for all sorts of reasons, feels like my life is shifting seasons. And though I still miss Cape Town, I'm thankful every day that I live in such a great town. And when I feel low, one of the most healing things I know besides my herd, my flow is to go for a jog with a beat, so I reach for some beats, hit my bomb 2 times, and I hit the streets on a bright November day. All the leaves are brown, but the sky is far from grey, so the deeper shade of purpose taking my breath away in the clouds of oil paintings, all shadows and silver. The skyline is simply stunning. And clearer to me it's becoming. There's all sorts of reasons why people go running. Some are simply in a hurry, some are in it for their health, some are running from the trouble, some are running from themselves, but they don't know if I'm fleeing or chasing with the sunset. Seems to be the only thing I'm facing, and I stare at length on it, and with glory I'm filled, and I draw strength from it, like I was running on chlorophyll, part man, part flower, music and sentient, solar powered, feel as though I could run for hours, never get tired, because my mind and my body is flying somewhere higher, and I get mad inspired, as I become aware that we're all connected by the sea and the sun and the air, and these things we share make me realise to be true, that Babylon is everywhere, and Zion is too. It's up to us to decide in which one we reside, and we'll find peace around you till you first find it inside. And the things that you do when you strive to take pride, keep your head up, your chest out, and the spring in the stride. Doesn't matter if you fuck up, it just matters that you tried. Because Babylon is everywhere, and Zion is too. And which one you dwell in, that's up to you. Here's one about not paying for music. Have anybody here got any music on their computer that they haven't paid for? Now, you're all going to jail. I don't know if you read the news, but America is really on this, like, wherever the fuck you are in the world, if you've got something they don't like, yeah, shit's messed up, man. Anyway, don't steal shit, that's the thing. You wouldn't steal a handbag. Pirates, they say, funds terrorism. We do that every time we pay taxes. I want to see other actors that even are going to benefit from you and me downloading some MP3s and sticking them on CD. Well, if you ain't getting all the dollar that you want, then when you quit your friends, I think you're forgetting the music in the business, it's an art. So if you start to slip down the chart, then don't get so stressed with us. If you can't pay the bills, get yourself a second job just like the rest of us. I download music of every variation without hesitation, I never regret it. I just don't get it, the fuss they're making, it isn't stealing if nothing is being taken. I think what they're mistaking it for is sharing. Hundreds of thousands of people around the world declaring I'm in love with these new sounds that I found, I'm so good I want to spread them around, not for dollars and pounds, but because people are hearing shit that they never knew existed. And I don't think that kind of thing should ever be restricted, nor bought, nor sold. Currency music is worth much more than gold. It's the language of the soul, and it won't be controlled, and it won't follow orders, it doesn't need a visa because it doesn't have borders. And they can't police it, regulate it or ban it, because it travelled down through time, it's travelled around the planet. Well, I got no respect for record execs who collect fat checks and other people's sweat. And I got no respect for that artist who thinks his life is the hardest because he can't live like royalty, living for the royalties and getting paid again every time his tune gets played again. You want to beat piracy, there's only one way I know. Get the fuck off your ass, come play a few live shows. Because the music is to survive and thrive, and keeping it live is essential. As for the internet, it could have infinite potential, but it's rendered obsolete if we can exchange information and ideas, but not beats. So if I ever, and this is a very serious point, if I ever catch you reproducing my shit without my complicity, or a genuine certificate of authenticity, I say thank you so much for the free publicity. I treat music like reefers, burn it a couple of times and pass it on. Anybody got love for reggae music? Yeah! Sweet, that's good. This one's a bit more of going out on a limb. Does anybody think some of the messages in reggae aren't entirely wholesome? Yeah! I'm guessing maybe some of you might know what I'm talking about. Yeah. That's what this is about. Reggae is very close to my heart, as is the continent of Africa, which both have a real problem with this kind of sentiment. But people seem to be waking up to it, so, you know, maybe there's hope. They say those you hold close can hurt you the most, and it's not wrong. I'm in love with reggae, my heartbeat is in her song. But lately she and I just can't seem to get along, she's been acting disgraceful. She used to be about love, but some of the stuff she's been saying is just plain hateful. And sometimes I'm turning the cheek, but right now I've had a face full. If any of you are on the same page, let me explain what's got these guys spitting such rage. It's not the 400 years of slavery and colonialism, The pain of the past or the getting surprised with life is like a prison. It's not the corruption, the poverty, the inequality, the distribution of property. You can understand when it's any of them. What's got them so upset is nothing more than men who like men. And you've got so many real problems to deal with. It makes me sick when they're still so stressed by what man does with his dick and they're telling me it's not natural because it doesn't make a baby. Brother, please. Neither does your lady when she heads downtown. Neither does your hand when the lady's not around. Neither does wearing rubbers, but Africa's doomed if brothers don't start going undercover. And don't you think they got enough on their plate without you spreading this virus of hate? And how can you condone such behaviour when you say Selassie's Christ and Christ said love your neighbour? And you think the Bible tells you this kind of persecution is okay? You know it's the same shit the KKK and the slave traders. I say what good is a good book if it only turns us into haters? We must read it while the peace still evades us. So how are we ever going to learn to share the planet? If we can't see the victimised and gays, there's no more to do with following Christ raised and blowing shit up those with Muhammad. So now you sing one song, and it's all about the struggle of the African in the hands of the Vatican, and the very next song it's all bun up the batty man, and it begs the question, how can the people who've known such oppression turn it on another? Turn it on your own brother. Please don't let your heart get smothered by this bitterness and anger. Well, it's been so many years. You've been being fought down for ganja. Who would have thought you'd have learned? It's not hurting anybody, what the fuck is it your concern? Much less your right to interfere. If God put us all here, and if we're to be judging the way you say is true, well that job belongs to God, my brother, not you. And I know there's different reasons why we do what we do and how society can shape your moral persuasion. I came up in a generation where words like nigger and packet were being fought against. And much of their destructive strength was being stripped away, but words like faggot were flourishing, and still considered okay to say, and anything you didn't approve of was gay. But I also come from a generation that was spared another day, another way to see past that shit, outlast that shit, that blinded those who came before them to escape from their mistakes and their ignorance that bore them, and that's why it pains me. To hear this music that touched me and changed me, start acting so strangely, and plainly one line of thinking is if you don't like it, well just don't listen to it. But I say fuck no man, but to love your music. And I'm going to deprive myself just because you abuse it. So I suppose the real point of my verse is I just want to know which one came first. Did the art reflect the culture or is it the reverse? Or maybe it's both, or maybe it's a choice. For them, for us, for you, for me, for anybody with a voice. Thank you. I don't really kind of get aggressive at a lot of targets in my shit. When I got into spoken word, a lot of it, myself included, was very like fist in the air, like everything's fucked, that kind of thing. I sort of tried to move away from that. So I don't get too much on the aggressive tip. One of the few targets that I do have that I like to kick shit at is tabloid shit-stirring, fear-mongering, race-hating, general divisive mentality, which is what I'm talking about in this one. It's called Times Ain't What They Used to Be, and it's about the attitude that it's easy to fall into, that everything used to be sweet and everything's shafted now and there's no hope, which I don't necessarily subscribe to. Some of the time, maybe. So you make no mistake, it's tough times we live in. A quick glance at the news, one to be forgiven, thinking the end is near and time is running out, so many things to fear, so much to worry about. In this modern life where war is rife and greed is everywhere, everybody doing for self, nobody seems to care for the planet or their neighbours, such self-centered behaviour, people acting more twisted than quavers. And we're a nation of non-believers, who've lost all faith in all the leaders, because costs are up, but the pound is down, and cynicism is booming, all-consuming, of course, people feel like disaster is looming, because it just didn't used to be this way back in the day. People used to respect one another, kids behaved their mothers and treat each other right, and you could walk the streets at night, and it's this way of life of which we've lost sight. Nowadays we seem so slow to talk and so swift to fight, and just what's wrong with the music of today. The way they always portray so much of man's inhumanity to man, I just can't understand why they're always beefing with the law and with one another. Graphic images depicted on the album cover, and the lyrics are just as fucked up too. No wonder kids today have all gone astray, this is who they look up to. If these are their role models, how are they ever going to save themselves? Back in the day, musicians knew how to behave themselves. See, this kind of shit never would have gone down. Back when the PCP smoking, shotgun toting James Brown was around. It goes way further back than Biggie and Pac, and in case you're thinking it's all black on black, Elvis Presley and Johnny Cash were both in the US military. It's the most torn up gang in history. I guess the line between a hero and a thug is a thin one. Bob Marley didn't just write about war zones, he lived in one. Survived an attempted assassination and stood before the nation 2 days later. An advocate called Smile Jamaica said he'd do one song with an upstairs on for a full 90 minutes, even as his arms still had the bullet in it. So this is no new phenomenon, recently arisen. Lead belly, famously paid his way out of prison. How many classical pieces are in debt to war? Music and violence are as old as the hills. What makes you think they were met before? And was it such a different world back then with such different dangers? For fuck's sake, we have paedophiles too, but we just called them strangers. And back then it was Iran and Vietnam, and nowadays it's Iran and Iraqistan, and they used to use communism for the villain, and now they use Islam, and illegal, immoral, unwinnable wars will continue to rage, and some will get a word and some get front page, and nowadays they see youth, but no respect for age. But every time I've seen a senior slip and stumble in the street, they're always mobbed by passers-by to help them to their feet. And I see people on the tube giving up their seat to those who need it more, and I maintain the belief that whatever you're looking for, if your eyes are open, you can find it. And rose or shit-tinted glasses can leave it equally blinded. In need of being reminded the times today ain't what they used to be, they're not what they will be, they're not what they could or should be, they are what they are, and perfect is not. But we better learn to live with it because it's all we've got. So if you really believe The broken Britain has come off the rails. Common decency has failed and anarchy's prevailed. Maybe it's time to put down your Daily Mail. Open up the double lock behind the front door and go engage in your community, and soon you'll see that you can't do without it. And don't you dare complain that no one knows their neighbour if you do nothing about it. So that age-old argument of times ain't what they used to be just ain't no use to me. It confuses me. One can expect to grow older, wiser, instead of just older. No one's ever looking over one's shoulder, complaining the road ahead is all uphill. Well, sometimes it might be. But while you're sat on your arse with your head in the past, progress is unlikely. So I like to reminisce as much as the next man, but nostalgia is a drug whose use is best kept to moderation, because it's such a sweet intoxication, but cynicism is the come down. Leave you feeling run down, wondering how you can go on when all the best times are gone, maybe that's when it's in your interest to give that shit a rest. It's the two most powerful tools in the world, in your head and in your chest, and it's good to have savings, but it's best to invest. This one's called Keep It Flowing. It's about finding shit that is good for your soul and then trying to do it. So, you know, it's fucking common sense, man. You don't need me to spell it out. See, the oil flowing's got the cash flowing. Got the cream flowing's got the blood flowing. Why not? Just talking about poems. When I said to you, we've got to keep it flowing. So keeping it flowing, keeping the flowing going is anywhere slow in this age of global confrontation. You've got to keep the dialogue flowing between all people's nations, because the flow is deeper than language, the flow is true communication. So don't lose your flow, and don't lose your rhythm. Don't speak so loud that you forget to listen to what bubbles within like a shisha, because like the smoke exhaled, the reef of the flow is what connects us to the ether. It's the most elemental part of what makes you you. It's what you are, not just what you do. It's your spirit, your soul, your life force, your chi, and finding the flow is the key to being free, because the flow is the way the musicians play when they're jamming. No pre-planning, no need to think. It's just the instinct that keeps us all in sync. And the flow comes from inside or above, depending on what you believe. But either way, the flow is what weaves together the fabric that keeps us all connected. That's why we've got to keep it loved and protected. We've got to keep it fed and protected, fed and respected. We've got to keep it healthy and growing. But most of all, we just got to keep it flowing. See, find your flow, and you'll be capable of superhuman strength, like the men who spent length in Guantanamo, many of whom whose only crime was to be wrong faith, wrong kind of face, wrong place, and wrong time. But they kept their flow and kept their sanity, stayed human in the face of inhumanity, and emerged years later with scars on their back, but their dignity intact. But lose your flow, and you'll lose your grip. It'll block you up like congestion. If you clamour for replacements in substances and possessions, distractions and obsessions, but none can relieve, because like a fish, we need the flow to breathe. You know what's funny? Sometimes I do gigs that actually cost me money. And I got pockets empty as a politician's promise. Not once but twice I didn't finish college after I haven't paid my fees, and my bar job pays like fucking Mackie D's. My debt to the bank isn't too large, but the way they charge, sometimes I don't know if I'll ever be freed. And I always owe money to the guy who gets me weed. But though I still don't consider myself poor, I do get the odd letter from bailiffs threatening to break down my door. But the flow keeps me going back for more. The draw of the flow I can't ignore. And if the flow were crack, well, then I'd be a crack whore. So find the things that feed your flow, and then make it your plan to do those things and pursue those things whenever you can. I find mine when I rhyme, I want to spend time with kind souls. I find mine with good music and good marijuana, collide with mine and take hold. I find mine what a joke at the beach can teach when a cheer from a crowd when I'm proud because I feel like I earned it. I find mine for a while when I smile at a stranger in the street and they return it. So when you find your flow, you've got to burn it. Bright like a beacon, 24/7, don't just save it for the weekend. So if someone near you's flow is weak, and yours can be a guide until they find their strong, but don't do so with pride. Because you know it won't be long, like the Bill Withers song, you're going to need someone to lean on. And there's no way of knowing when and where those cracks will start showing, so when you're by the side of the road and in need of towing, keep your head, keep your heart, and keep on flowing. Thank you very much.